Good afternoon and welcome everyone to the Senate Committee on Health and Human Services for the 83rd Legislative Session. Madam Secretary, please proceed to call the roll.
Senator Lang, Senator Stone, Senator Taylor, Senator Titus, and Chair Doniate.
I'm here. Please mark Senator Lang absent excuse. Good afternoon and thank you so much everyone for joining us today. Today we do have 3 bill hearings and I'll tell you the order of them in just a second. We are going to try our best to finish early today, and we'll see how fast we go. I do have a few housekeeping items based on just the standard operations. First and foremost, if you wish to testify, we ask for folks to please sign in by the table, by the door, to provide a business card to our committee secretary if you're planning to testify. If you do not wish to testify, you may still want to sign in so that there's a record of who's interested in a particular bill, and in the event the committee needs to contact you later. When testifying, please turn microphones on to speak and off to listen, and we have listeners and viewers in Las Vegas and online as we are recording this meeting. We ask that public comments be kept to 2 minutes so that everyone interested in speaking can be accommodated and we can get through the agenda in a timely fashion. And finally, please turn off your electronic devices. The order for today is we'll do Assembly Bill 266 with Assemblywoman Gonzalez first because she has to present in a different committee at the same time. And then we'll do AB 107 and then we'll conclude with AB 244. With that, I'll open up the bill hearing for AB 266. This bill makes revisions relating to breastfeeding, and Assemblywoman, you may begin. And welcome to Senate HHS.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me, Senators. My name is Cecilia Gonzalez, and I represent Assembly District 16 in Clark County, and I'm honored to be here this afternoon to present Assembly Bill 266. This bill expands protections for breastfeeding individuals by first requiring online resources for support that are readily available, and second, prohibiting discrimination against breastfeeding individuals in certain public spaces. Becoming a first-time mom has been one of the most challenging and rewarding experiences of my life. I was determined to exclusively breastfeed my daughter, believing in the profound health benefits it offers. However, I quickly realized that breastfeeding is not as intuitive as it's often portrayed. In the early days, I faced multiple challenges. My baby struggled to latch, I experienced significant pain, and I constantly worried about my supply. These are all common. A study found that 92% of new moms report at least one breastfeeding concern within the first 3 days of postpartum, with a 52% of new moms struggling with infant feeding at the breast and 44% experiencing pain. I sought help from multiple lactation consultants, each offering different advice, and it felt like I was constantly trying to troubleshoot and decode my own body and what my baby was trying to tell me. I lived by the strict 3-hour rule schedule, needing to pump or feed to maintain my supply, regardless of where I was or what I was doing. The rhythm of my life became the cycle of feeding, pumps, and washes. But what most people don't see are those quiet late nights, those hours where everyone else is asleep and you are up alone, cluster feeding, pumping, soothing your baby, and doubting yourself. There were nights where I cried from exhaustion, from frustration, and nights where I questioned if I could keep going. Nights where I felt like I was failing even though I was doing everything I could possibly do. Beyond the physical demands, breastfeeding takes a deep mental toll. A recent study revealed that 65% of mothers report mental health challenges due to breastfeeding difficulties, including feelings of guilt and failure. However, we know that we are not failures. I felt these emotions deeply, especially when my body did not respond in ways that I hoped or when my supply dipped during high stressful weeks. I was doing everything right, but still felt like I was not doing enough. And yet, despite everything, I kept going because breastfeeding, as hard as it is one of the most tender, powerful forms of connection I've ever known. It is a labor of love, and it's not just about the milk. It's about the bonding, comfort, sacrifice, and deep personal resilience. And no one should have to go through that kind of journey in isolation or without support. This bill is important because it acknowledges the struggles that many new mothers face, and it aims to provide the support that they need to succeed in their breastfeeding journeys. By increasing access to resources like lactation consult, peer support, and workplace accommodations, we can ensure that no mother feels alone or unsupported during one of the most challenging and rewarding times. Every mother deserves the opportunity to provide the best care for her child without feeling isolated or overwhelmed. I will now walk through the bill summary. The bill requires the Department of Health and Human Services to provide online resources to breastfeeding individuals. These resources must include a fact sheet providing information concerning Medicaid coverage for counseling and support for breastfeeding, breastfeeding supplies, and prenatal screenings and lactation consultants, as well as a list of services available in the community for lactation support, including the names, addresses, and phone numbers of these organizations. The department is also required to develop and implement a public education program about lactation that will include the health benefits of breastfeeding and ways to connect individuals to lactation support. The next focus of AB 266 is strengthening legal protections against discrimination toward a breastfeeding individual. Specifically, it prohibits places of public accommodation from discriminating against individuals because they are breastfeeding. There were few changes made by the amendment in the first House. Specifically, the penalty of a misdemeanor was removed, and places of public accommodation that have a minimum age restriction by law, regulation, or ordinance have been exempted from the provisions of this bill. And with that, I am ready for questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, committee members. Do we have any questions? Senator Sun.
Well, congratulations on your baby. Congratulations on your successful feeding. Talk about the areas of public accommodation, the areas that it would be excluded under your bill, if you don't mind.
Yes, thank you so much for that question, Cecilia Gonzalez, District 16 for the record. So during the first hearing in the first House, we had some concerns about age-restricted areas. So for example, gaming, bars, let's say you're like at a Chili's and there is that age-restricted bar area. So we just wanted to make sure that those areas are continued to be age-restricted, meaning that under this provision, a nursing parent couldn't go and sit at that area and say, well, now you're discriminating me, right? It is still an age-restricted area, casinos, things like that. So we just had that on the record in the first House to make sure that that is, clear.
And then just a final follow-up, the misdemeanor was taken out through the amendment in the Assembly, correct?
Yes, that is correct. So you should have the first reprint with the clean language.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions? Let's open it up for testimony. If you are in support of this bill, we ask that you please come forward, and we'll put a 15-15-15 cap on each section. So let's start here in Carson City. 2 minutes each.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. Allison Herzik, Director of Nevada Government Relations for Dignity Health State Rose Dominican. We are in support. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair and Committee. My name is Sabrina Schnur, Sabrina Schnur. I am here today on behalf of the Nevada Public Health Association, and we are also in support. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee. My name is Davida Tyson, Davida Tyson, and I'm here on behalf of the Nevada Women's Lobby. This is an important step for promoting public health by ensuring that families in Nevada have access to accurate information and resources about breastfeeding. Breastfeeding is widely recognized for its significant health benefits, not just for infants, but for parents as well. It'll strengthen a baby's immune system, reduces the risk of chronic diseases, and supports long-term well-being. By equipping the community with the education and training they need, AB 266 will make it easier for families to get the support they need during the most critical steps of their child's development. AB 266 is about ensuring healthier outcomes for Nevada's children and families, and I urge this committee to support AB 66 and help make breastfeeding education and resources more accessible to those who need them. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Alex Tanchek with Silver State Government Relations, representing the Nevada Advanced Practice Nurses Association, or NAPNA. NAPNA wants to thank the sponsors for bringing this bill forward. Nevada's APRNs are a large part of the primary care workforce in our state. They're glad to see this bill enabling mothers to breastfeed their babies, which is the best and most cost-effective way to assure babies are getting healthy nutrition. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Annie Vong, Annievong, on behalf of Nevada Primary Care Association, which represents the state's federally qualified health centers, and ditto.
Good afternoon, Chair Doñate and members of the Senate HHS Committee. My name is Carissa Pierce, Carissa Pearce, and I am the Government Affairs Manager with Children's Advocacy Alliance. CAA is in strong support of AB 266. According to the most recent CDC breastfeeding report card, in Nevada, 23% of breastfed infants received formula before 2 days of age, and only 22% of infants were exclusively breastfed through 6 months. These statistics highlight the need for educational support for new parents to improve infant health outcomes and strengthen families. Numerous barriers to breastfeeding still remain, and disparities persist in breastfeeding duration and exclusivity rates by race, ethnicity, and socioeconomic status. Policy changes that address breastfeeding barriers, such as those proposed in AB 266, provide caregivers with the information and support they need to make the healthiest choices for their baby and for themselves. We urge your support for this bill, and thank you for your time and commitment to Nevada's children and families.
Hello, Chair Doñate, members of the committee, and thank you to Assemblymember Gonzalez for bringing up this bill. Dev Bararia, Devbararia, for the record, here on behalf of the Nevada section of the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, also ACOG. Part of the concern that pregnant people have, especially during first-time pregnancies, is hoping that they will be successful in breastfeeding their child, and then also wondering how they will be able to continue breastfeeding when they return to work and back into the community, and this bill will help mitigate those very real concerns. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Let's go to Las Vegas, please.
Good afternoon, Chair Doñate and members of the Health and Human Services Committee. My name is Jolina Walker, Jollina Walker, and I'm a community midwife and an international board certified lactation consultant, and I'm here in strong support of AB 266. As an IBCLC in private practice for over 15 years, I have witnessed firsthand the challenges that families face while seeking comprehensive lactation information and support. And so I want to ditto all of what's been said so far, and also just say that when parents receive unbiased, evidence-based lactation information, they are empowered to make feeding choices that align with optimal healthcare choices. They often flourish in their lactation journey with support and adequate information. AB 266 is a necessary step towards ensuring that parents receive equitable lactation information and support. It is a solution to help close the chronic disease and health gap that human milk can provide. It supports a parent in their journey to nourish and care for their children with dignity. Please support AB 266. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go online, AVH.
To testify in support on AB 266, please press *9 on your phone to take your place in the queue.
Hello, my name is Cristina Hernandez, Hernandez, and I'd like to voice my support for AB 266. First, I'd like to thank the sponsors and co-sponsors of this bill. I'm on the board for the Nevada Breastfeeding Coalition. I'm also a doula and a prior breastfeeding mom. This bill will provide support for the many parents that give birth in the hospital by providing them with education on breast and chest feeding, and to ensure that breast chest feeding individuals are protected while in public. And if they are discriminated, they have the ability to hold businesses accountable. The prevalence of breastfeeding in Nevada is lower than the national prevalence. Specifically in Clark County, 73.8% of infants under the age of 6 months receive any breastfeeding versus 64.7% based on national data. We also know that the Healthy People 2030 has set 2 key indicators related to improving breastfeeding practices by 2030. These indicators include targets to raise the percentage of infants exclusively breastfed up to 6 months from 24.9% to 42.4%, and the percentage of infants that are breastfed at 1 year from 35.9% to 54.1%. This bill will provide the much needed education that can possibly support the 2030 indicators. Lastly, as we continue to see a high number of discriminatory bills and rhetoric on our most marginalized communities, we need state protection for our community. This bill provides some of that relief. Thank you for your time, and I urge you to vote yes on AB 266.
Caller with the last three digits, 673, you are unmuted and you may begin. Caller with the last three digits, 673, please press *6 to unmute yourself. Caller with the last three digits, 673, you are unmuted and you may begin. Chair, it seems the caller is having technical difficulties unmuting. Would you like to proceed to the next caller?
Please proceed, and then if they try calling back, then we can bring them back into it.
Good evening, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Brenda Rodriguez, for the record, and I'm an organizer with Reproductive Freedom for All. I am testifying today in support of Assembly Bill 266. Making breastfeeding information more accessible to communities would benefit countless families. When I first had my son in 2020, being able to have more resources on breastfeeding would have made my breastfeeding journey so much easier. So I urge this committee to vote in favor of this bill. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Ashley Shedd, S-H-E-A-D, with Return Strong, and we strongly support AB 266. Why would a prison reform organization be interested in this bill? Some parents are lactating when they go to prison. Some parents give birth while incarcerated, and there are breastfeeding parents inside prisons visiting their incarcerated loved ones. Incarcerated parents lack access to breastfeeding education and lactation support, and in some cases, educational materials could even be flagged as inappropriate. Making these resources available online ensures that more people, including those who are incarcerated, can access vital information should they need it. With NDOC distributing tablets to incarcerated individuals, this could be an important way to provide them with breastfeeding education and support. This is a public health issue. Breastfeeding improves infant health, strengthens parental bonds, and increases a parent's chance of successful reentry. Supporting this bill simply means supporting healthier families and stronger communities. Thank you.
Caller with the last three digits, 673, you are unmuted and you may begin.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Rosemarie Arroyo, and I am an IBCLC and in full support of AB 266. I often see mothers, and if their insurance does not cover lactation, it can get very expensive for them. This is vital information that they should not have to pay for because it is so important. And so I am looking forward to and hoping that everybody votes yes on AB 266.
There are no more callers in support at this time.
Thank you so much. Let's move on to opposition. If you would like to testify in opposition to this bill, please come forward. I don't see anyone here in Las Vegas AVH. Is there anyone online?
To testify in opposition on AB 266, please press *9 on your phone to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in opposition.
Thank you so much. Let's move on to neutral. Is there anyone that would like to testify in neutral? Please come forward. Please begin.
Good afternoon, Chair Dunyate, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Taylor Avery, and I'm the Manager of Political Affairs for the Vegas Chamber. The Chamber is in neutral of AB 266 because of the adopted amendments, which removes the misdemeanor penalty provision. We'd like to thank Assemblymember Gonzalez for working with the Chamber and the business community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? Seeing none here in Las Vegas AVH, is there anyone online?
To testify in neutral, please press star 9 on your phone to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in neutral at this time.
Thank you so much. I will go ahead and close the bill hearing, seeing that we've reached the end of this testimony, and move on to our next bill, which is AB 107. And I will go ahead and welcome Assemblywoman Brown-May.
Hi, good afternoon. Tracy Brown-May for the record. I'm proud to represent Assembly District 42 in the heart of Clark County. We are excited to be here to present Assembly Bill 107 for you. This bill exempts certain controlled substance violations from the list of offenses that trigger mandatory background checks for foster home applicants, licensees, employees, and adult residents. Why? Because we need care for children in foster care, and the exemption includes offenses that have been decriminalized under Nevada law, as well as violations involving the possession of marijuana not intended for sale. I am going to turn this presentation over to my co-presenter, Ashley Kennedy Garza, with Clark County, who is going to walk us through the bill.
Thank you, Chair Donate, members of the committee. My name is Ashley Kennedy, representing Clark County. I want to first thank Assembly Member Brown-May for championing this issue. This is really an idea that came from our Department of Family Services, and joining me down south to help answer some technical questions are truly the experts here, which is our Director of Family Services, Mr. Prado, and our manager who oversees the licensing process, Ms. Herbs. So they're here to help us answer some questions. But before we dive into the bill, I wanted to take a moment to explain why we asked the Assembly member to carry this bill for us. As many of you are well aware, child welfare services are partially administered by the state and counties. In Washoe and Clark, these services are county administered but state funded. In Clark County alone, we have over 3,000 children in foster care on any given day, yet fewer than 900 licensed homes. To address this shortage, Family Services has worked tirelessly to recruit more foster parents, removing any unnecessary barriers to licensure, such as covering the background check costs, providing safety equipment, or offering expedited training classes. AB 107 is another step in that direction. Over the years, we have lost qualified caring individuals due to former criminal records, particularly for marijuana convictions related to possession that many times are 20 years or older. This bill seeks to ensure that past nonviolent marijuana offenses are no longer a barrier to securing more qualified foster homes. AB 107 has one main objective, to prevent old marijuana-related offenses from being a barrier to fostering. If a person has a possession charge or conviction without the intent to sell that is 5 years or older, they will have an opportunity to become a foster parent. I also want to make very clear that this does not change any of the licensing requirements to become a foster parent, such as training, home inspections, home studies, and all the other requirements that go into becoming a foster parent. AB 107 simply ensures that having a previous marijuana offense on your record is not an automatic disqualifier for becoming a foster parent and starting the process. In the Assembly, we did do an amendment to ensure that the bill complied with the Federal Social Security Act, and that is a change that you see in the first reprint, so this change will not impact any federal funding. At this point, that concludes our presentation, and we're happy to take your questions.
Thank you so much. Committee members, do we have any questions? Senator Titus.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the bill. I know that there needs to be more foster homes out there. So I appreciate that you're trying to accomplish that. In the bill, and I'm looking at the one that says it's the reprinted with the amendment, but let's see, section 1, number F, when it talks about unless the offense is a violation involving the possession of marijuana for the purpose of sale or a violation of a law of any jurisdiction that prohibits the same or similar, preceding 5 years. So I was curious as to what that meant. Does that mean any other drug offense as long as it was over 5 years before they're applying? That was unclear to me, or strictly a marijuana offense within that realm?
Thank you for the question, Senator Titus. This is Ashley Kennedy with Clark County. It's intended to just capture marijuana. We try to make it a narrow scope, and this is really in concert to what we have seen in the licensing process. Obviously, my counterparts down south can speak to this, but on average, we probably see about 10 families that this impacted a year, and it was strictly for marijuana.
Follow up, if I might, Mr. And that was going to be my question. How many families actually do you see that this would actually help or expand? How many foster parents would be available?
Ashley Kennedy, for the record. Thank you for the question. So a lot of this is anecdotal examples, only because right now it's an automatic disqualifier. So you show up, if this is already on your background, that's it, the process is over for you. So on average, anecdotally speaking, about 10 families, individuals that this has happened to any given year. Also recognizing that most foster families are, and I would defer to Family Services down south, are going to be taking in more than just one child a year. And so this, even though it has impacted 10 people, the impact of all the children that those families could bring in down the road is significantly higher. And I will go down south if they wanted to include any other comments.
Thank you, Senators. This is Jennifer Erbs, manager at Clark County Family Services, for the record. As Ms. Kennedy had stated, we only know the families that have moved forward with the process in which we knew that they had this disqualifier. So this, even just in Clark County, just 10 families alone is significant, just over the 6 years that I have been part of licensing. So just in general across the state, we could be missing many families that could be providing a loving, caring, supportive home for children across the state of Nevada.
And just one more, if I might. So thank you for that clarification. Just to be clear, though, if they're convicted of a crime involving marijuana possession, etc., while licensed, they would have their license removed. This is only, in other words, there's still crimes you could commit involving marijuana possession, etc., growing, etc. This will not protect them from that. If they commit a crime, then, and it involves marijuana, at any time they would not be able to be a foster parent, correct?
Tracy Brown May, for the record. Thank you, Senator, for that line of questioning. That is also one of the concerns that I had as we navigated this process. Right now, when a family is seeking to become a foster family, if they have this conviction, they're immediately disqualified. This bill simply removes that immediate disqualification, but no other rules. They still have to go through all of the background checks and all of the fingerprinting and all of the other criminal investigation in order to be qualified to be a foster parent, and then they will have to continue to comply with what those legal expectations are. So all we're doing here is eliminating that one initial hurdle that moves their case along for further investigation. It does not eliminate any further review of marijuana conviction or more in-depth research before they become a qualified foster parent.
Thank you, because again, I worry that certainly you would remove somebody if alcohol is legal, but if they get a DUI conviction or something like that, you would certainly not allow them to be a foster parent. And so driving impaired with marijuana, they would not be able to, anything that would endanger. So this does not absolve the parent from accountability. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions? I don't see any. Let's go ahead and open it up for testimony. If you'd like to provide support testimony, you may please come forward. I don't see anyone here or in Las Vegas. AVH, is there anyone online?
To testify in support on AB 107, please press star 9 on your phone to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in support at this time.
Thank you so much. Let's go to opposition. Is there anyone in opposition to this bill? I don't see anyone here in Las Vegas. AVH, is there anyone online?
To testify in opposition, please press star 9 on your phone to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in opposition.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, anyone looking to testify in neutral on this bill? AVH, is there anyone online?
If you'd like to testify in neutral, please press star 9 on your phone to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in neutral at this time.
Thank you so much. Assemblywoman, did you have any closing remarks?
Thank you. Tracy Brown May for the record. I just want to thank the committee for the opportunity to present this bill. I'm honored to carry it on behalf of Clark County so that we can continue to grow how we serve kids in foster care. Thank you for this.
Thank you so much, and thank you for coming. We're going to go ahead and close the bill hearing on AB 107 and move on to our last bill, which is AB 244. I'll go ahead and invite the Assemblywoman to come forward. This bill enacts prohibitions relating to the use of disposable foodware containers containing polystyrene, I hope I said that right, foam by certain food dispensing establishments. You know what I meant, so go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Giannate, Vice Chair Taylor, and members of this committee. I am Venetia Considine, and I have the honor of representing Assembly District 18. I am here today to present Assembly Bill 244. With me today is Olivia Taninger, Director of the Sierra Club, Toyabe Chapter. The purpose of AB 244 is to mitigate the harmful effects of polystyrene, also known as styrofoam, to our health, our state's natural resources, and the environment. Single-use polystyrene packaging for food and beverage items is not recyclable once used. Polystyrene contains toxic substances that are hazardous to humans, such as styrene and benzene, which are suspected carcinogens. Hot food and hot liquids can melt and break down polystyrene upon contact, which the body could then absorb. And these chemicals can disrupt hormones, fertility, and the immune system. They can cause neurological problems. Microplastics are showing up in our brains and throughout our body. This bill encourages recyclable packaging, reduces waste and landfill challenges, and mitigates the harmful effects of styrofoam on humans and wildlife. Before I go through the bill, I would like to turn it over to Ms. Taninger for a very short presentation, if that's okay with the chair.
Thank you, Assemblymember. Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. I appreciate your time today. My name is Olivia Taninger. As Assemblymember Considine mentioned, I'm the director of the Sierra Club's Toyabe chapter. Today, I want to talk briefly about a material that will outlast the memory of everyone in this room, styrofoam, chemically known as polystyrene. As you heard, it's incredibly harmful to our environment and to our health. Its environmental and health impacts are both severe and lasting, making it an urgent issue we need to address. Styrofoam is a brand name for a type of plastic foam known as polystyrene, or EPS, expanded polystyrene. It's lightweight and often used for food to go. While it may seem convenient, it comes with a heavy environmental and health cost. One of the biggest issues with styrofoam is how long it takes to biodegrade. Once it's discarded, it can persist in the environment for hundreds or even thousands of years. You can see on the screen how we compared styrofoam's decomposition rate to other alternatives. Many studies show that styrofoam never fully decomposes. It breaks into tiny particles which end up polluting our waterways and landscapes. These microplastics are ingested by wildlife, causing serious harm to animals in Nevada, from fish to birds. The process of manufacturing it produces harmful chemicals, including styrene, a probable carcinogen. And not only will styrofoam outlive us by at least 20 generations, it is incredibly expensive to recycle, as you can see on the screen. In Nevada, styrofoam is by and large not recycled because of the expense, especially compared to the cost to recycle alternative materials to styrofoam. So some folks have asked, why styrofoam? Why not all plastics, given recent studies? Well, the answer is on this slide. It is by far the longest lasting and the most expensive, and therefore the least likely material to be recycled and reused. The health risks associated with styrofoam have been established through numerous peer-reviewed, scientifically respected studies that I won't go into depth on, but the material itself, as I mentioned, contains styrene, which is a chemical that has been linked to numerous health issues, which you can see on the screen. It is an endocrine disruptor, and it has been known to cause issues in various parts of our bodies, including liver, kidney, or circulatory system problems. Styrofoam also poses significant environmental harm, which is why I'm before you today. The polystyrene manufacturing process is the 5th largest creator of hazardous waste in the United States. It's a principal litter because it breaks down so easily into different microplastics, which not only pollute our environment, but also negatively impact outdoor tourism, which is a vital part of the Nevada economy. If you've ever been to Lake Tahoe, I'm certain you've been moved by its beauty. Styrofoam poses a serious threat to Lake Tahoe's ecosystem. A Desert Research Institute study found that polystyrene, along with a couple other plastics, were among the most common materials found on Nevada beaches along the lake. In a 2023 study, polystyrene made up 16.5% of submerged material samples from Lake Tahoe, highlighting its prevalence in the lake. Additionally, a study published in Nature revealed that Lake Tahoe has the 3rd highest concentration of microplastics of 38 lakes surveyed globally. These microplastics are a significant concern as they negatively impact the lake's famous clarity, threatening both the environment and local tourism. And so, many states and localities have already taken this leap to phase out styrofoam. We're not reinventing the wheel or asking for a radical change. We've talked to dozens of businesses across Nevada, and I believe that styrofoam at the state level, banning styrofoam at the state level is the best route for several reasons. It's more beneficial for businesses than city-by-city bans, and a statewide ban provides consistency across the regions. Not only is this a needed solution from an environmental and health standpoint, but it's a popular one. In fact, polling indicates that 81% of Americans support limiting styrofoam. McDonald's voluntarily adopted a styrofoam ban because of customer and shareholder concern over the safety of the product. And even in Nevada, I'll note that Washoe County School District stopped using styrofoam trays in the lunchroom, and you all know perhaps better than anyone how limited a budget our school systems operate under. If WCSD can do it, anyone can. Styrofoam's environmental and health impacts are undeniable, and it's time we take this step forward as a state to protect Nevadans and Nevada. Thank you.
Thank you, Venetia Considine, for the record. So AB 244 prohibits the use of styrofoam in carry-out and to-go containers for restaurants. However, this bill is very narrowly tailored. So I want to go through the bill. The way it's written is sometimes a little bit confusing, so I might jump around on some sections, but luckily it's only like 2.25 pages. And I just, again, want to point out that this is already happening across the nation and in Nevada. When I've talked to people about AB 244, they realize that they're seeing less and less styrofoam in to-go containers, especially in restaurant chains. And our goal is to continue to nudge this movement along. A parallel goal of AB 244 is to entice businesses that manufacture non-styrofoam containers to move to Nevada over the next few years so that the cost of those materials come down, so that as this bill goes into effect and through 2029, we see those materials becoming more affordable and an easier move to non-styrofoam takeout containers. So as I go through the bill, I would like to actually start on Section 4, which is about a little bit more than 2/3 of the way down on page 2. Section 4 is just definitional. It provides the definitions for disposable foodware, what polystyrene, see, I get lost on that, polystyrene foam means, but also I just wanted to point out that sub B under sub 4, food dispensing establishments, it only refers to the NRS, but the NRS defines it as food dispensing establishment means a food establishment that prepares and serves food intended for immediate consumption. The term includes a restaurant. The term does not include a convenience store or a grocery store. Just wanted to make sure that that was pretty clear. The bill itself narrows, at least for the first few years, down to 2 groups that this affects. The first is Section 3, Sub 1, which are restaurants in Nevada that have 10 or more locations with substantially similar menus. So they have to have at least 10 locations to fall under the effect of this bill. Or they are chain restaurants, and this is Section 3, Sub 3, chain restaurants that have a location in a state that has already prohibited styrofoam containers. Because they already have all of those materials, they can easily just transport those to Nevada. So these 2 groups would be in effect from the effective date of the bill through January 1st of 2029. But beginning in 2029, all food dispensing establishments, as I've described earlier, will no longer be able to dispense prepared food or beverages to a customer in a polystyrene container. So if you look at Section 5 on page 3, that refers to 2029 on. And this is where it gets confusing, because if you look at Section 7 on the last page, Section 7 Sub 2, it says Section 5 is effective on January 1st, 2029. So I know that was some explaining that I had to do because of the way that they wrote this. But Sections 3, Sub 1 and 3 are 2025, October 25 to 29, 29 on. It's a ban on all takeout styrofoam containers. Happy to answer any questions if that's still a little confusing. Also, there is a penalty. Originally, we had a penalty for knowingly using styrofoam when it was prohibited under either of these circumstances. We have changed that and modified it. It's only a civil penalty, and it is $100 per day to knowingly use styrofoam when it is banned. But I also want to point out that, again, we tried to narrowly tailor this and not hurt the true, very small restaurants, which are the entities that I still see that are using styrofoam. It shouldn't affect them until 2029 or later. And if any entity has sort of a buildup or an inventory of styrofoam containers, they can still use those containers until they run out. This is not the day happens and then we're going to penalize you the next day. If you have those containers, you can use them until those run out. In short, the idea behind this bill is to nudge along something that is healthier for our environment, and for our children and for future generations, but to do it in a way that provides enough notice for those who are able to work this in sooner, to do that, to lay more groundwork so that as we get further down the line, it becomes easier for everyone to take part in this. Ideally, with the movements that we're seeing to get rid of styrofoam by 2029, everybody's already doing it. So thank you so much for listening to our presentation, and we're happy to take questions.
Thank you so much. Committee members, any questions? Senator Titus.
Thank you for being here, and certainly appreciate your passion for our environment. I know you're a stalwart person, and I also am very fond of Lake Tahoe, but not just Tahoe, anywhere. I'm a fisher person, and so I like to go fishing, and I can't stand it when I see styrofoam floating around everywhere. My concern with the bill is the fact that we're doing this by law, when I think that there's already, as you've testified, the recognition of companies that I won't use a styrofoam cup. I mean, I don't have it in my house. I won't take takeout in a styrofoam cup because I think there's other health issues, frankly. But it's becoming. I think the free market should be settling this, because people like me and then many others won't buy styrofoam stuff. And now McDonald's and other companies are banning, are recognizing how bad this is, and they're self-policing. And I think that the free market is always the best way as opposed to passing laws. So I have concerns about the mandate. I appreciate that you say 10 restaurants, but that in a state like ours, 10 restaurants really isn't that much, and with a very busy consumer state, and we can have 10 restaurants and they can't be necessarily huge or national chains, et cetera. So I'm a little concerned about placing something in law, which it sounds to me like the free market is already policing itself. So that's just more of a statement than a question.
Thank you. Did you want to respond?
Thank you so much, Senator Titus. And I appreciate your comments. And I do believe that the free market is moving towards that. But we have known about the harmful effects of styrofoam for a very long time. And although we all appear to know this, we all appear to be educated about this, this is not something that I believe everybody knows in everyday practice. And I believe making the awareness of this and helping nudge along not only the lowering the use of that styrofoam, but showing the rest of the country and other businesses that you can move to Nevada, you can create this business. We have a very, low or no income tax for businesses, and have a new sort of manufacturing base that creates things that could be maybe using different items and creating new things. And we can bring that in, and I think that helps both education, and it also helps our businesses. And I think that the free market is moving it, but I think when we have health issues that can be very strong, if we can nudge it along, that might be helpful. And the other part that I just wanted to mention is I know we have the 3 years in here, but my first session, I was told you cannot sort of bind the hands of a future legislature. So if any reason it doesn't move along or there's some sort of pushback to it, the 3 years is in there and starting in 2029, but I'm fully aware that I cannot require that if another legislature changes it.
Can I just have one more thing? Thank you for all that. But just looking at your picture there, and we talk about a commerce state, and we talk about the people coming in here and shipping and supplies and where these things are made. I'm worried that then, as for Nevada, if we then say, okay, you can't bring styrofoam in here, that it will affect the state, our bordering states. I mean, California is an outlier, of course. For me, I'm much more worried about other folks in Utah and where these things are made, shipping and just commerce in general. So anyway, that's a big concern for mine. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Titus. And if I just might add, that's another reason why we kept it only to take-out food containers. So I had meetings with the Resort Association, with the Retail Association, with the Restaurant Association. So this is not, I know being from, Southern Nevada, we have a lot of entities that will bring in fresh food from different oceans, and those are in styrofoam containers. It doesn't touch this. It doesn't touch commercial styrofoam. It doesn't touch any of those. We tried to make it super narrow. Thank you.
Any other questions? Vice Chair Taylor.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Assemblymember Considine, and thank you for the Sierra Club doing what you do all the time. It's really good to see you. Just two quick questions. You went through this kind of fast, and I hadn't grabbed my pen yet, which is good. Fast is good at this point in the session. Take me through again a little bit what starts in 2029 and so on, and I can jot that.
Thank you, Senator Taylor. For the record, Venetia Considine. So as the bill is laid out, Section 3 covers your chain restaurants that have a restaurant in a state that already bans styrofoam. So they are just using what they're already building or creating or using in the state already. So they already have the materials. The other part of that is restaurants in Nevada that have 10 or more restaurants that have substantially the same menu, that they would need to sort of move off of their existing styrofoam into non-styrofoam, and again, only for takeout containers. There is a small penalty once the bill goes into effect. That's $100 per day between 2025 and 2020. In 2029, it moves to all food dispensing establishments. So it's not just the chains, they're the ones that have 10 or more restaurants, then all food dispensing establishments, which are again just restaurants, not grocery stores, not convenience stores. That's when it moves into banning the styrofoam takeout containers from 2029 on. There is, and then the penalty is civil, because there's something in here that says that it is criminal or a misdemeanor, but the line that says that is outside of subsection 3, which subsection 3 is the subsection that says it's a civil thing, and it's only $100 a day. And again, a food dispensing establishment may use any remaining inventory of the disposable foodware containers until the inventory of such disposable foodware containers are depleted. So 2 start dates, but everything else is the same. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions? Senator Stone.
Thank you for the presentation. Can you just talk about the efficacy as far as cost goes for restaurants, and also the unique properties of styrofoam for insulating, keeping things hot, keeping things warm? Although I think there are some products out there, because I'm going to a lot of restaurants now and I'm seeing less and less styrofoam. So there must be some alternatives. And is there any education process for these stores that use styrofoam about the utility and the benefits of the alternatives?
Well, it is as of right now that using styrofoam containers are a little bit cheaper than using non-styrofoam, but now there are a lot more options for non-styrofoam. As far as educating, when I started working on this, I met with the Restaurant Association first, and we discussed possibly, through the Restaurant Association, sharing information about, the bill, about the benefits, and about the costs. And then the idea, ideally, is that cost continues to go down so that people can afford it. I do not have the chart of the current cost, but I'm happy to send it to you. When you're buying in bulk, and this is the difficulty of trying to say exactly what it is, when you have 10 or more restaurants, you're going to buy a lot more in bulk than you are if you're, just 1 or 2 restaurants in that. So that's why I don't have those. And then I don't know if you wanted to talk about the specific chemical components.
Thank you, Olivia Tanager, for the record. I did just want to add that when we were talking to our folks in the business community here, one of the things that gave them less heartburn about doing this now is that, as you can see, there are many states that are moving away from this. And so the theory is that the markets should start to equilibrate a little bit with the alternatives. And I apologize, what was the other part of the question?
The makeup and the benefits of styrofoam.
The efficacy of temperature controls, keeping things cooler, keeping things warmer. Do we have good alternatives that basically accomplish the same goals?
Thank you, Olivia Tanager, for the record. Yes, I believe that we do have other alternatives, and even the paper alternatives that you see are doing a pretty good job of keeping food insulated and keeping it warm. Although I'll note most of the time when I'm taking takeout, I put it right in my fridge, and so I'm not as concerned about keeping it warm and insulated, but I know that there are alternatives out there to styrofoam that are able to do that.
And if I may just follow up on it, I just want to reiterate that this is only for the takeout. So if you're personally taking it out, it should be a short span. But I know if you're using, I don't want to say any names, but that app thing that you can do to have it delivered, all of those items are put in like the heat and the cold, insulated bags or whatever that is to keep it. So that's another reason why we wanted to keep it just focused on takeout.
Any other questions? All right, let's go up and open it up for testimony. Again, it's the 15-minute limit on each section. Let's start with those in support. Please come forward. And 2 minutes each. Let's start here in Carson City. Please begin.
Good afternoon, Chair and Committee. I'm still Sabrina Schnur, Sabrina Schnur, and I'm still here on behalf of the Nevada Public Health Association, and we are once again in support. Thank you.
Chair Donate and members of the committee, my name is Jane Amon, and I'm the External Affairs Director for the Nature Conservancy in Nevada. And the Nature Conservancy supports AB 244 to ban styrofoam food containers. It is a thoughtful bill to address a pervasive problem of styrofoam pollution. The presentation outlined several effects to human health from micropollution persisting in the environment from styrofoam. The persistence of this pollution has similar effects to the health of birds, amphibians, and other wildlife. AB 244 offers a sensible approach for addressing this problem, and we thank Assemblymember Considine for bringing the bill forward, and we thank the Sierra Club for also bringing this bill forward. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? I see someone in Las Vegas. Let's go there.
Hello, my name is Aaron Harris, AARON, HARRIS, and I'm a homeowner in the state of Nevada. And one of the things I see most often that blows into my yard is styrofoam. Styrofoam is actually one of the oldest types of plastic that was invented. We've invented much superior alternatives to this, but we kind of use it because it's cheap, right? But as was called out earlier, all the styrofoam that we produce will outlast the entirety of human civilization for someone to enjoy, a hot meal for 50 minutes when there are quite sensible alternatives. I've been to many other states around the country, and I'll say that they are actually going a step further in that they're actually requiring compostable containers, which makes a lot of sense because you're eating food and food decomposes. And so why not just make the whole container compostable? And there are so many different options that you can't even, like every time I go, I find a new thing, whether it's potato starch or made of seaweed or made of, corn husks or any type of thing. And it looks and functions almost identical to anything else you might imagine. So yeah, like I said, this is a very gentle bill that I think will do a lot. And, one of the things that, that this bill does is that, first of all, it makes it so that way distributors have to start stocking some of those alternatives. I know a restaurant near me that I like going to frequently serves everything in styrofoam. And I've talked to them and they're like, well, that's all that's currently offered to us right now. And so that's kind of what we get. And so by doing this, we'll actually be able to require the distributors to start stocking some of those alternatives. And that will also bring the price down of those alternatives because we'll be able to get more and more of those things from our closely neighboring states and be able to provide those. And that's one of those cases where even if I'm enjoying food at a restaurant, I don't really necessarily have the option to opt out unless I'm bringing my own silverware and plates, which is not something that's common to do. I'll also just point out that 25% of our landfill waste is polystyrene products, and a lot of that is because when you look at the composition of styrofoam, it's mostly air, right? And so it makes it easier to blow away. That's why it accounts for one of the largest amount of surface waste in the country. and actually around the world. And you look at even developing nations, they are also starting to implement these types of styrofoam bans because you go to a lot of developing nations, styrofoam products
Sir,
cover
if you
their
can please
beaches,
complete your remarks.
and I'll wrap up. So they don't have the cost to clean it up. And so I think this is one of the things that we can kind of treat it at the source. So I appreciate and I urge you to strongly approve this bill. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. Anyone else in Las Vegas? AVH, is there anyone online?
To testify in support, please press star 9 on your phone to take your place in the queue.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Tristan St. Dennis, and I am the Policy Associate for the Nevada Conservation League, testifying in strong support of AB 244, which will take an important step in protecting our environment and safeguarding the health of our communities. Styrofoam is non-biodegradable, pollutes our water, and endangers wildlife. Beyond environmental concerns, styrofoam can also have negative health effects. As we continue to witness the environmental and health impacts of plastic products, it is imperative that we take action to reduce their widespread use. We urge the committee's support. Thank you.
Chair, there are no more callers in support at this time.
Thank you so much. Let's move on to opposition. Is there anyone in opposition to this bill? I don't see anyone here in Las Vegas. AVH, is there anyone online?
To testify in opposition, please press star 9 on your phone to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits, 160, please press star 6 to unmute yourself.
My apologies. I meant to testify in support of this bill, but I was having technical difficulties. But my name is Hector Ariola. I am the policy fellow with the Nevada Environmental Justice Coalition. We are a statewide coalition of community organizations fighting for sustainability, justice, and equity in all levels of government decision-making. Through grassroots organizing and policy advocacy, we aim to liberate frontline communities from environmental hardship, which is why we are here in full support of Assembly Bill 244. We want to echo the concerns that everyone else mentioned, but we also really just want to make sure that we highlight that styrofoam takes 500 years to decompose, outlasting us, our children, and our children's children. Styrofoam continues to harm even after we dispose of it, but by polluting our water sources and poisoning our wildlife. We ask that you support Assembly Bill 244 to protect our communities and the planet from the harmful and long-lasting effects of styrofoam. Thank you for your time and dedication to the people of our state. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. For the record, this is Trey Abney, Trayabney, on behalf of the American Chemistry Council. I want to apologize for not being there with you in person this afternoon. My client's members produce the raw materials used to manufacture a variety of different types of food packaging containers, including the expanded polystyrene foam products that would be restricted under AB 244. While we appreciate the intent of this bill, we are respectfully opposed. All packaging leaves an environmental footprint regardless of the material type. It takes energy and raw materials to produce, transport, and recover or dispose of any material. In our view, the practical result of AB 244 will be to force restaurants to use alternative to-go containers without clarity as to whether those alternatives are currently being recycled or composted in the state. American Chemistry Council has been constructively involved in packaging recycling legislation in several states, including California, Colorado, Oregon, Hawaii, and Washington, that seek to reduce waste and increase the recycling of all types of packaging materials. A good first step would be to consider legislation currently moving in Hawaii, HB 750, that would require a waste needs assessment be completed to help guide any future waste or recycling policy. Questions that this assessment can answer include what materials are being collected, are they being recycled or composted, who currently has access to refuse recycling and composting collection services, how are those collection services arranged and funded, and how are collected materials currently being processed and marketed. For these reasons, we are respectfully opposed to AB 244. I want to thank you for the opportunity to testify today, and I do want to thank the sponsor and Ms. Tanninger for having conversations with me. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Chair, there are no more callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you so much. Let's move on to neutral testimony. Please begin.
Hi, good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. For the record, Trevor Parrish with the Vegas Chamber. The Chamber would like to thank the bill sponsor for working with us on an amendment to Assembly Bill 244. With the adoption of the amendment number 80, we have officially removed our opposition and are now in the neutral position. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? Seeing none here in Las Vegas AVH, is there anyone online?
Chair, there are no callers in neutral at this time.
Thank you so much. That concludes our testimony. Did our presenters have any closing comments?
Thank you, Venetia Constein. For the record, I just wanted to thank you very much for your time and allowing me to present this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, and Olivia Tanager. Briefly for the record, I want to note that we have been working with business folks, and the White Pine Chamber of Commerce was not able to call in today, but they did want me to say on the record that they support, and I think they submitted an opinion poll little note to that effect too, but I think they're going to submit a letter. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll go ahead and close this bill hearing, which moves us on to our last agenda item, which is public comment. Is there anyone that would like to provide public comment at this time? I don't see anyone here in Las Vegas. AVH, is there anyone online?
To participate in public comment, please press star 9 on your phone to take your place in the queue. Chair, the public line is open and working. However, there are no callers.
Thank you so much. That concludes the items of today's agenda, and we look forward to seeing everyone on Tuesday. Meeting's adjourned.